Where's the advantage?
Yeah, yeah, and the Bills are a good team. They're a really well built team, but I think the Jets have the advantage and this is why I think Buffalo continues to struggle to get over the hump to beat Cincinnati and Kansas City when it counts. Buffalo really struggles with running the ball. When it's not Josh Allen running the ball, they have nothing back there, right? And I think I think that has to do a lot with their O line not being as good as the other teams in the division, and then their running game is just not as good as the other teams in the division. And so the Jets are built to control the clock when the weather changes, right? They're built to win an ugly game with the Bills. Whereas I don't think the Bills are built to win ugly, right? Like the Bills are built to win like these high octane games, right? Like Stephon Diggs goes off, Gabe Davis goes off. They make the case that if they get the ball back one more time versus Kansas City, they should be in the Super Bowl, right? Like those are the kind of games they win. That's not a team that the Jets will get down and dirty, right? Like the thing that I kept saying during the year last year was Robert Sala's taking them to the deep end and he's drowning them, right? He makes them nervous when he takes them out there, right? When it's Quentin Williams versus Mitch Morse, right? When it's Carl Lawson coming off the edge versus Deion Dawkins, right? It's bad when Josh Allen has to sit there and get hit 10, 15, 20 times. Whereas, like, when you look at a team like Cincinnati, Joe Burrow likes to get hit. He almost relishes getting hit. Pat Mahomes
Yeah.
likes to get hit, right? Josh Allen doesn't like to get hit. And then now the Jets have a guy who can stand in there and doesn't get skittish when he gets hit, right? Who's going to stand in there and
Yep.
deliver strikes to Garrett Wilson. But the advantage is that when the game becomes slower, when it's time to run the ball, when it's time to defend the run, the Jets are better there, right? Than Buffalo is, and I think that's the mismatch that you see. That's where the Jets have a really strong advantage versus other positions.
I think what gets me excited is, as you said, the way the Jets defense was able to get to Allen last year. Even in the game that they lost, Allen did not play well in that game.
No.
And if Mike White doesn't get that rib shot and they don't lose that drive, that was a very winnable game. And the Jets really did like nothing on offense, and that game was still there for the taking. And that game was right in Buffalo's wheelhouse. It was freezing. It was late season. It was in Buffalo, and they still could not put the Jets away in that game. And the Jets, a lot of sloppy mistakes, but it just felt across the 8 quarters they played, the Jets matched up well with them, and they felt like there's no intimidation factor going into this year of playing Buffalo. They don't have to get over that mental hump. Like they're still going to have to do with New England, who I think is worse than Buffalo, but the Jets as an organization have to get past that threshold of we can beat this team, no matter how bad they are. Now they're not Brady or Belichick anymore. They're still Belichick, but we can still find a way to get over that hump. That'll still be a big challenge for them. Now, they didn't play Miami last year with Tua, right? You had the 2 Skylar Thompson games with Tua. I think Miami's an interesting threat in the AFC. There's a lot of talent on that roster without question. Any concern, or do you think someone like Miami is being slept on at all? How do you feel about how the Jets match up with Miami if Tua is actually the quarterback and is going to play all season? We're going to save New England for a different pod. After this, we'll go to different parts of the team. Let's also hit on Miami because I don't want to fully write them off as a contender in the AFC East.
Well, in Miami, it's interesting, man, because if Miami had been the team to get, the nasty man in Cleveland, you probably have to pencil them in as like a Super Bowl contender just because, again, the ceiling is elevated when you get a quarterback that's that good. With Tua's one hit away, and they actively talked about that. Like he was looking into what it would look like if he retired, right? Like just you didn't know what was going to happen with him. And behind that old line, that's a worry for Miami. But Miami's well coached. They have arguably the best wide receiver duo in the NFL, if not the best top 3 in Waddle and Hill. They can put anybody back there in the backfield and get 1,000 yards or 4 or 5 yard carries, right? And they traded for the premier corner in the NFL, Jalen Ramsey, and brought Vic Fangio over, right, to coach up this plethora of pass rushers, Bradley Chubb and my guy from the University of Miami. So I think Miami is a team that if you knew what they were getting from the quarterback, man, that's a scarier team because they have speed, and we talk about this a lot, right? You can't teach speed, right? Can't teach speed, and then in turn, then if you have the quarterback, then again you're pretty golden. But Miami, if their question mark is going to come down to the O line, can they keep Tua upright, right? And can they get more from Bradley Chubb than they got from him in Denver, right? Like, because again, you gave up a lot for him. You're going to have to get 12 to 15 sacks to justify it. But Miami's a good team, man. Miami on paper, on paper is easily better than New England, and they're better than a lot of the other teams in the AFC that you're going to see penciled in as playoff teams over them. Like I like them more than I like Cleveland, even though Cleveland has the advantage at quarterback. I like Miami there. I like Miami a hell of a lot more than Denver. I know a lot of people are going to think the Sean Payton, Russell Wilson reclamation project. I like Miami way more than them, and I like them. If there's a lot of talk about the Tennessee Titans and like just what they'll look like, and Mike Vrabel's too good a coach for the Titans to really stink. But that's a team that's going to take a step back. Pittsburgh probably not going to be in the mix like that. Miami has a shot to be one of the 7 playoff teams, and then they're going to be a tough out because they're so well coached.